everyone, welcome to the channel Talking with Jay Springer. I'm your host Jay, giving you a video on the channel today. Now this is going to be my official review for the film How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World. Now this is the third one of the series and I want to give you guys a fresh review. It released yesterday in the UK and I decided to come home, basically have a thought process and give you guys a fresh review. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Please do smash a thumbs up if you do. Comment your thoughts down below on the How to Train Your Dragon series. Also guys, if you're interested, there's a TV series actually released on Netflix. I know it's probably for kids, but if you guys wanted me to review that for you guys, I can do that. Let me know in the comment section down below on that as well. As well as guys, if you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting the bell. You don't want to miss the content which I've got coming out for you. Earlier on, for example, I released 2 reactions for the Hobbs and Shaw trailer as well as the Walking Dead mid-season trailer. Now if you guys like the sound of that, also I've got another review for you guys coming up tomorrow for the film The Green Book, which I also see yesterday on its release. So without further ado guys, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and we go straight into my review. Now as I do with all my reviews, I start off with the simple facts of the film. I go into a little bit of a synopsis of what it's about, then I start picking out certain characters or certain actors and actresses and give them a bit of a summary quickly of how their performance was, and then I go through my ranking system of how I rate it and what I look at to rate it and give it a score, which I'll do at the end of the video. So without further ado, we go straight into that. Basically, DreamWorks made this film, and DreamWorks are a big company, have made a lot of great films throughout their career. Now, How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World is an animation adventure family film, which is based around about an hour and 45 minutes long. This was released on the 1st of February 2019, which I went to go and see yesterday on its release. Now, the scores which the critics have given it have actually really surprised me, actually, if I'm generally honest with you. First off, we start off with Rotten Tomatoes, which have given it a 98%, which is a very high score. And then we go with IMDb giving it an 8.1 out of 10, and then we finish off with Metacritic giving it a 73. Now, as I said, this is quite shocking because I don't expect Rotten Tomatoes especially to give it such a high score. It just goes to show you that how big this film actually is. For the trilogy to end it off, it done very well in my opinion. Now we go through this little bit of a synopsis of what the film's about, not giving away any spoilers. This is a spoiler-free review, which is what I do on this channel. And if you want to hear the spoilers of this, let me know in the comment section down below. Basically, this film is about Hiccup, the main character, and the rest of the gang finding out that Toothless, the main dragon obviously, isn't the only Night Fury. Trouble arrives, Trouble being named Grimmel. He's a dragon slayer and he's got some massive reputation, and yeah, they've got to try and stop him. And the way they're going to do that is they're going to try and find the hidden world which Hiccup's father spoken of to protect themselves and the dragons. That is pretty much the main story without giving away any spoilers whatsoever. So hopefully you guys like the sound of that, and I do recommend you guys go and actually watch this film, just because you have to see the final film of the trilogy. It just makes sense. Now we're going to go through some of the actors and actresses. I've only picked 3 in this because I didn't want to go through everybody. Obviously you've got the dragons, which I haven't put in this because obviously they're just voices and not really acting, really, should I say. A lot of these are voices obviously because it's voice characters, but the special ones I've gone with is Hiccup, played by Jay Baruchel. I think that's how you pronounce it, but I want to really highlight his performance in this because I think the character alone, Hiccup, really was the sole character in this. Obviously you had the likes of Toothless and other characters, but I think Hiccup's growth as a character in this movie was the main thing that really kept me hooked from the beginning to the end, and I had a mixture of emotions for this character. That's one thing I do want to highlight. This character is so special when it comes to this series, How to Train Your Dragon. Everybody knows Hiccup and how he's been a failure and how he's grown into the leader of what his father wanted him to be. And that's what you have to go through this movie. You go through a mixture of emotions, and actually at one point I'm actually sad to admit I near enough had a tear in my eye at the ending. So for you guys, you need to go ahead and check this out. I think Jay Baruchel done a great voice acting job in this movie, playing as Hiccup. Next up we have Astrid, played by America Ferrera. I don't know too much about this actress. All I know is from these films. I think she done a great job. Astrid being the second main character, or the third main character probably, in this film. I think she was a great character in this, and she was basically trying to help Hiccup through this movie when he was at his lowest points. Now you're going to get a lot of them in this movie because obviously the next character who I'm going to be going on about, but I think she'd done a great job, and I think you really get to see her grow as well. If you think of her from the first movie, she isn't the same in this movie. You get to see, that's what I love about movies in general, character growth when you go through a franchise. I love the fact of character growth and storyline. They're the main things that really keep me invested, and I loved Hiccup and Astrid's relationship in this. You get to see them grow and go through some hard times as well. But I think America Ferrera done a great job, obviously playing as Astrid, and I'm hoping they maybe do some more. Maybe it's side movies, or if they do a TV series again, or something. They do something with this series, because How to Train Your Dragon is a really important part of my life, because I remember seeing the first one. It was a big film for me, and I think I've actually become to grow and love it even more after seeing this movie. Next up, we have the bad guy in this, named Grimmel the Dragon Slayer, obviously played by Murray Abraham. Now, I think he done an amazing job in this, Murray Abraham. The voice is a unique voice which you'll remember throughout when you watch these movies. You remember him as a bad guy, the main bad guy throughout all these, because he's different to what we've seen in the other ones. And I think what he offered in this was a really good presence as a bad guy, and I think Grimmel was, without giving anything away, he was very twisted, and he had a different meaning to life compared to, say, Hiccup. And I think Grimmel was, when he first came on, I was actually surprised who actually played him, because he very much sounded like Hotel Transylvania's Adam Sandler, in my opinion. At first he sounded like it, but I think Grimmel as a bad guy, I think done very well. I kept me invested. It made me actually dislike him whilst watching it, because obviously when you're a fan of these movies and you just want the happy ending, that's what you want, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to get that happy ending. And Grimmel was stopping you from getting that throughout this movie, and I think he done a great job as the bad guy. Now, that's basically the 3 actors or actresses and characters I wanted to go through. Toothless was a great character. I love Toothless throughout the whole thing. He's the one you mainly love. It's sort of like a Lilo and Stitch. You like Lilo, but Stitch is your main person you love the most. I think Toothless is the one you love more than Hiccup. But in this movie, you really feel that you see the emotional flashbacks with Hiccup and his father and stuff like that as well, which really emotionally connects with you. Even if you've got a family of your own, or you haven't, and you've got another emotional thing going on in your life or anything like that, you really connect with this character really well emotionally. That's one thing I do want to give its props to. So we're going to go through the things I like to rate. Well, what I like to look at when I'm going to rate my films, and normally the things I like to look at are directing, cinematography, storyline, script and dialogue, and editing. Now, editing can be classed as pacing, music and visuals as well. But in this film, I'm not going to look at the directing and cinematography. Cinematography, I want to look at when it comes to like proper films, not animated films. And directing, I don't think there was a lot of direction really in this film that you could really notice whilst watching it. When it comes to animation films, I don't think you can really notice directing skills really. Live action films are the ones where you see that. So the 3 things I want to be looking at is editing, pacing, music and visuals, obviously as one, script and dialogue, and the storyline. So starting off with the storyline, from A to B you got your plot points, and you had a mixture of plot points through this film. It was easy to follow, emotionally connected with me, as I said, and I really enjoyed the story. I think the story couldn't have been done any better in my personal opinion. I think the story, if you look at the franchise of How to Train Your Dragon, number 1 was like the bar. It set the bar for the How to Train Your Dragon films. Number 2 sort of fell off. It didn't work out as well, and this one I think just done either just as good or even better in my personal opinion. Next up we have the script and the dialogue. Now, script and dialogue is a main one when it comes to animation, because these are voice actors now we've got to listen to. So the script and the dialogue for the main characters I think done really well. Obviously, as a kids film, you've got to expect that some of the things that are said are not what you're going to get in a live action film, so you have to really give it its credit. For me to sit there and watch this, I didn't sit there and go, oh my god, he sounds really stupid, or she does. I actually generally enjoyed the dialogue in this, and it flowed very well. And I think for especially Grimmel, I was actually worried about him most when I first see him, because, as I said, it first sounded like an Adam Sandler from Hotel Transylvania. And I was a bit worried of what they was going to do with this character, but as it flowed through, I really enjoyed the script and the dialogue. Now, coming up, the last thing I wanted to talk about, which was the editing. Now, first up, with the editing in general, I think the editing was well done throughout the movie. It flowed well, as I said, which also brings up to the pacing. The pacing of the movie was very well. You had your slow moments where it was emotionally connecting with you. You had your fast-paced moments when the action started kicking in. And you had your medium-paced when things were starting to build. And I think you need that in every single movie to really, really connect with an audience. And I think this done a perfect job with the pacing and the editing in general. Music wasn't always used massively. And when it was used perfectly. It connects with you. It gets you ready for what's going to happen next, and I think they've done a great job with that as well. Visuals were outstanding. Obviously CGI was done very, very well, and the animation, obviously from DreamWorks, you'd expect an A-star plus, and that's what it gives you in this movie. So now my ranking system I like to look at, I normally give it a really bad, a bad, a good, or totally awesome. Now in this movie, obviously as you've heard me try not to give it away throughout this movie, but I'm going to give it a totally awesome. Now, totally awesome. The rating in general, if we go through the ratings again, which the critics give it, you give it a Rotten Tomatoes, give it a 98%, IMDb give it an 8.1 out of 10, and Metacritic give it a 73. Now, I normally base on my scores, I normally look towards IMDb most because they're more trustworthy when it comes to ratings, and I think they've got a good rating. I think it's quite underrated from them for once. Actually, I'm going more towards Rotten Tomatoes in this rating, and this movie I could have rated higher, and I could have rated it a little bit lower, but I'm going to give it an 8.8 out of 10. This movie is a must watch for me, and I'm recommending this film to you guys because this film was very enjoyable. You can take your family to go and watch it, you can take your kids, you can go on your own. It is literally just an enjoyable film, and an 8.8 out of 10 is, it can be looked at both sides. It could be underrated or overrated. I personally think this was the best film of the trilogy. I'm going as far as that, and I do recommend it to you guys. If you haven't seen this film, when it does come out, some people from the UK will be able to go and see it, or have seen it already. I don't know if it's out in America yet, but if you guys are looking forward to this, do go and see it because it's a very, very good film. So yeah guys, that is my review for the How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Smash the thumbs up if you enjoyed my review. Don't forget to comment your thoughts down below on my review on the How to Train Your Dragon series, and let me know if you want me to do a review for the TV series on Netflix for How to Train Your Dragon. And also guys, don't forget, if you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting the bell to be notified when I upload more content just like this one. I don't just do reviews, I do reactions to trailers as well as ranking videos, the worst of the best of the best of the worst on certain subjects when it comes to movies, TV series and gaming. They're the three subjects I do on this channel, so please do subscribe, hit the bell. You will not be disappointed with this channel. I've been me, you've been you, and I'll see you next time guys on Talking with Jay Spring It.